Happy Tuesday, good social media family. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And I also hope that you have gone to vote. I was looking at my schedule. I was like, there's no school, so my daughter has to be here. You know, um, the work day is stacked. When am I going to go? So I went already and I made sure that I got my vote in, especially my people in Kentucky. Please go to the polls, exercise your right to vote. All right. Now, this live stream, my channel is not about voting. It is about enrolled agents, the work we do, how to become better at doing that work. So, in today's video, I'm actually going to talk about tax representation versus tax planning. Now, a lot of people ask me what the difference is, but what I found very interesting is that even fellow tax professionals have asked me what the difference is, or if I can go into more detail about how they are different. All right. So, in this video, of course, I'm going to address what an enrolled agent is, what differentiates us from other tax professionals, and then, like I said, I'm going to talk about tax planning versus tax representation. Now, I know I got a couple of people on here with me on Facebook. If you guys drop in the chat, say, hey, just let me know who you are and let me know if you voted. Let me pull the video up on LinkedIn. Most importantly, I got to make sure my mic is on. I will never forget the Tuesday you guys let me talk for 5 minutes and it wasn't on. So let me see. I'm going to pull this up on LinkedIn because I can't always see you guys on StreamYard. And then I'm going to also share this to my personal page on Facebook. Let me see. Somebody said something. Hello, Miss Dorothy. Happy Tuesday to you. I won't put you on blast. You can send me a DM, but I hope you went and voted already. I was just sharing. I went right before this. I was like, look, if I'm late, I got to be late today, but I got to go make sure I vote. See, what is the difference between tax representation and tax planning? All right, share it to my personal page. I got it up on LinkedIn. I have 2 people with me on LinkedIn, 2 people on LinkedIn. I need you guys to drop into the chat too. Okay, Miss Dorothy said, nope, I don't vote. All right, like I said in the beginning of this video, this live stream, my page is not about voting. So, Miss Dorothy, if you want to talk about it a different time, we can talk about it. But I won't get into it now because people have very high emotions about voting and not voting. So I digress. I'm happy you're here with me though on today. And let me see, Miss Dorothy, I see you. All right, LinkedIn, you guys have more people hopping on, but you're not saying anything to me in the comments. So I'm going to get right into the intro. If you were watching this later on the replay, please hashtag replay because I will come back and address any comments, even if this is at a later date on YouTube when it finally gets posted there. So if you are new to me, this page, maybe you typed in enrolled agent, it popped up. My name is Timalyn Bowens, and I am America's favorite EA, as Miss Dorothy has already let you know. As an enrolled agent, I am licensed through the Internal Revenue Service to represent taxpayers in all 50 states in any IRS office. That includes if I have taxpayers that are outside of the country dealing with U.S. tax issues, I can handle those for them. I'm also the owner of Bowens Tax Solutions, which I often forget to mention, and in Bowens Tax Solutions, we are a virtual firm based in Louisville, Kentucky, and we specialize in stepping in taxpayer shoes to handle their IRS issues. I primarily work with taxpayers that owe $100,000 or more, or they're actively being audited or levied. The reason I'm here today on the America's Favorite EA page to talk about tax planning versus tax representation is because I enjoy educating other tax professionals about the EA designation. When I was in high school and going through college, I was not familiar with the EA designation, which is crazy because the EA license is the highest designation that the IRS awards to tax professionals. That's why we have unlimited practice rights, and I can practice in any IRS office across the United States. Okay? So I feel that within my personal mission to fill the tax literacy gap, that I need to let as many tax professionals as possible know about the EA designation because caring is sharing. I know I'm not the only one that likes to help taxpayers with their tax issues. So if I'm able to share this opportunity with more tax professionals, that will enable them to also help more taxpayers. Get where I'm going with this? So, somebody that recently subscribed to my article subscription, so not the Tax Pro representation journey, which is the podcast and the articles and community, but somebody that subscribed just to the articles, we were talking and they were asking about different topics that they were interested in reading about. And one of them was covering the different services that an enrolled agent can offer, primarily looking at tax representation versus tax planning. But it's crazy the way things work. So after they reached out and asked me to do this, I start getting inquiries from other tax professionals asking me to do the same, asking me to explain what the difference between the two are, and then how they should introduce the two things to their clients to make sure that the taxpayers understand that they're two separate engagements. All right. So, Facebook, I see you fluctuating. LinkedIn, let me see. All right, I got more people on LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn, you guys tell me that you guys are at work. Just drop in, give me a thumbs up, like the video, give me a heart, support, laugh, something so other people can see the video on their timeline, okay? So, going back to me being an enrolled agent and that being the highest credential at the IRS awards, it allows me not only to have unlimited practice rights, which is representation, but I'm also authorized to do tax planning, and then we have tax preparation. Now, the barrier to entry with tax preparation is very low. A tax professional individual only needs a P10, which is a prepared tax identification number. So, getting the enrolled agent license does put you a step above that because then you become a circular 230 professional, which means the IRS holds you to certain standards as far as ethics are concerned. Whereas our regular P10 users aren't held to those same standards. So, if you're a taxpayer checking this out, just keep that in mind too. No, credentials don't mean you have the best thing in the world, but just keep in mind if you're protecting yourself as a taxpayer, all tax professionals aren't held to the same standards based on the credentials they do or don't have. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. Because the barrier of entry is so low to being doing taxes like the preparation. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. The main things they're going to differentiate the enrolled agent, like I said, is tax representation because other tax professionals can't do that unless they're a CPA or a tax attorney, but then tax planning. So, when we look at tax preparation, that is going to be something where the tax professional is reporting what happened to the IRS after the fact. All right. So, everybody has to do that for compliance. So, you get your W 2s in January, it's going to tell the whole story of what happened in 2023, right? There is nothing that your tax professional can do to lower your tax liability other than find things that you already qualify for that were missed. All right. It's too late to try to do anything to help your tax situation. That is something that taxpayers don't realize is that honestly, tax planning for 2024 should already be started, right? We're too late for 2023. There's some last minute things that you can do, like looking at HSA if you qualify, doing charitable contributions if you have enough. maxing out those retirement accounts. There's not really a lot that you can do for 2023 at this point. If we're going to look to reduce the tax liability, we need to be looking in the future, so 2024 and beyond. And the very cool thing about tax planning is we're not just looking to lower your tax liability for 1 year, even though, we could keep the scope small. But if you have a very good professional that's working with tax planning, they're going to go above and beyond the scope of just the year you're in or the next year. For example, when you are working with somebody doing tax planning for you, they won't try to do everything themselves, right? Because a good professional is going to know the areas that they're weak in and where they need to partner with others. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're a business owner and you're looking for tax planning, ways to reduce your tax liability because you know that you are going to grow. The tax bill is going to grow because, let's be honest, if you're making money, you're going to pay taxes. But you want to make sure you're not paying more than you have to, right? If we have a tax professional developing a tax plan for you, and let's say they suggest that you convert to being an S Corp or a corporation, either one. Let's say you're going to be on payroll. Typically, they will find payroll providers to partner with to help you make sure that everything stays good in compliance with that. Let's say that you're going to start different retirement accounts. You're going to have health insurance through your business, and the policy is going to be in the business name. That tax professional will connect you with financial advisors within their network that they work well with. For example, with me, when I have somebody looking at retirement and they need a new advisor, I connect them with advisors within my network. And usually I tell the advisors this, not just one introduction to an advisor is going to be made. Why? Because my client may love me. They love the way I communicate, work, all of my current ones, all right, for tax preparation. But with that being said, just because I like somebody doesn't mean that they like somebody. I need to make sure I'm introducing them to somebody that they're going to work well with, that they're going to trust with their money. Because in this tax plan, I need the taxpayer to be transparent. I need to know about all sources of income. I need to know about their goals for their life, where they end up going, where they want to end up going for retirement. I don't need to know the exact place, address, and everything, but if I have an idea, we can start doing things to prepare for retirement based on where they're going to be. For example, if I have somebody retiring to the state of Texas and we're looking at different types of retirement plans and what they should put back and properties and things, my client that wants to retire in Texas, big up for them because guess what? When they retire, they're not going to have to pay state income tax. Now, if I have somebody who wants to retire in New Jersey or New York, that's going to be different. So, again, I'm going to pull in a financial advisor that's going to understand their goals. They're going to be transparent with, work with, and I need them to be transparent with me because if I'm creating a tax plan for them and what they need to put up to be able to set aside for taxes, even in retirement, I need to have an idea of where they want to go, right? Because we can go from a state with no state income tax to a state that has a crazy state income tax limit or rate. Does that make sense? So, with the tax planning, everything that we are doing is looking into the future. We're making projections based on current income, on goals, and then how they want to, sorry for sounding morbid, but how they want to end their life. Like, what do they want to make contributions to? What do they want their financial legacy to look like? Do they want to make sure that they leave money to their children? Do they need to set up an estate or make sure that they have trust in place? All of that is part of tax planning, which does not automatically come with tax preparation. So, my question to you as a tax professional watching this, let me see, tax professionals watching on LinkedIn that aren't saying anything in the comments, when you are offering tax preparation services, do you find yourself also offering tax planning without being compensated for it? And let me be very clear. Some taxpayers, when they ask for strategies and suggestions, they don't realize there's a difference between tax preparation and tax planning. They think that it's all inclusive. Now, there are tax professionals that will, I'm sorry, there are taxpayers that will reach out and be like, hey, I need some strategies, blah, blah, blah. And you can make it clear to them that it's two separate engagements and they don't want to invest. All right. We as tax professionals need to make sure that our clients understand that us doing research and projections for them into the future on how to lower their tax liability is a tax plan, not tax preparation, and it is its own separate investment. Okay? So, y'all, you got to give me something today. I don't have any hearts, any likes. I know you guys are on here because I can see with the eyeball on both platforms. So just let me know. If you don't want me to pull you up on the screen, that's fine. But have you ever found yourself giving a client free advice, tax planning advice that they did not pay for when they only paid for tax preparation? And I know there's a slight lag over here. But if you've ever found yourself in that situation, just let me know in the comments. And no shame, because I've done it before. I've been so eager to help people that I've laid out a whole strategy where they saved like $12,000, not lowered their tax liability $12,000. They saved $12,000 overall. And yes, I was happy to help them. I felt fulfilled to help them. But when I went back and I looked at the amount of time that I spent on doing the research for them, that's time that I missed eating dinner with my family. That's time that I missed going to the park with my daughter. So they saved $12,000. I got experience in doing tax research and helping with implementation of a plan, but I wasn't compensated for it. So check this out. I had somebody tell me, and I don't know if she's on here or not. Miss Dorothy, thank you for your transparency. Because yes, I've given free advice. Honestly, I've had people tell me that they've listened to my podcast, Tax Relief with Timalyn Bowens, which is actually for taxpayers, but tax professionals have listened to it, taken strategies that I shared, and made money from it. We can consider it marketing, but at the same time, that's free advice. But if you do give free advice, make sure that you are in control of how you give it and the amount that you give. Tax planning, specific customized tax planning strategies should not be something that you give for free. But going back, so I saved these taxpayers roughly $12,000, not all federal. So they were Kentucky residents. So this was federal, Kentucky, and then local. But yes, I got experience. Yes, I got more proficient in doing that. But that's time that I can't get back with my family. And where I was going, there is a tax professional that I'm connected with. I'll call her tax sister in California. And she was like, hey, friend, like, why are you doing stuff for free? And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, they call, just answer their questions. She was like, well, my friend, talking about my business partner, my daughter, she was like, she likes tacos. She likes nice things. Like, when you take time away from your family and you're not compensated for it, it's like stealing not only from you, but also from your family. So, if you know these strategies, you have this advice that's going to enhance the life of your client because you're the expert. You need to make sure that you are compensated for that accordingly. All right. Now, tax planning, when we look at that and how it's a reduction of the tax liability, that goes hand in hand with. Oh, sorry, I missed you, Karina. Thank you for hopping on. She said, yes, unfortunately, she also, I believe that's in reference to giving free advice. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me go to the comments because, sometimes I get going on a rant. I just didn't realize I had any comments because y'all kind of left me hanging today. But let me see. So Miss Dorothy says it's a lot of people advertising tax planning. Right. And this is the crazy thing that I found. I've seen some of the best tax plans, I've given some of the best tax advice that people didn't pay for because I didn't recognize the value that they were receiving from the strategies that I was giving. Now, you'll see I have content on my blog, YouTube page, the podcast, where I'll talk about strategies and what they do, but I don't explain the how to do it. You have to go to a tax professional for the how to implement it, make sure that that strategy even works for you. But I've seen really good customized plans that were given for free out of the goodness of somebody's heart just because they were very knowledgeable in their industry about the taxpayer situation. And it was like, bam. And that's how taxpayers end up thinking that tax planning goes with tax preparation. But on the flip side, what Miss Dorothy said, there are a lot of people advertising tax planning that don't know squat diddly about actually doing tax planning. And it's scary. It's really, really scary. And another thing that I see with a lot of people advertising tax planning, they're trying to be a one stop shop. Now, do not get me wrong, there are people that can be a one stop shop and they're very efficient in it. I've shared with you guys before, that's not me. That's why I focus on tax representation. I can teach different tax planning strategies, but again, I always have partnered with other people to actually go and implement those, whether they be payroll companies, financial advisors, health insurance brokers. Like, I don't try to do all of that myself. All right. But a lot of these people are trying to be a one stop shop that have maybe 6 months under their belt, don't even quite understand the tax law, don't take any CE, the continuing education, to learn more about it, aren't in any type of mentorship or community other than people telling them they should sell tax planning. And then what's happening is they're actually jacking people's taxes up because they don't have the things set up correctly. And what ends up happening when, let's say, for example, you don't have payroll set up correctly. Well, the IRS is going to look to be like, okay, why weren't these 941s filed, which are the quarterly forms, right? Why weren't these payroll taxes actually withheld and remitted? So we have somebody selling a tax plan that they don't know how to properly implement, which leaves a bad taste in the taxpayer's mouth because now they have all these fines and penalties from the IRS, and then they have to come to somebody like me for tax representation. So if you are a taxpayer on here listening to this, please, 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 I'm not saying question everything that the tax planner professional is telling you because you are hiring them to be the expert, but you do need to make sure you're doing your own due diligence to make sure that you understand what deductions they have you out here taking, what credits they're saying you're eligible for, because sometimes it's really big in bold letters that you don't qualify for it, but what you're looking at is, oh, it's going to save me money in taxes. So I'll just take a chance, even though I know I don't qualify, but I'm going to take a chance and do it because they say they can get me the money or they can get my taxes reduced. Prime example, there are a lot of you all that knew you didn't qualify for the PPP loans, but there were tax professionals out there selling it as a tax plan because, hey, you qualify because this is for business owners. And how many people do we have jacked up now because of that? How many people do we have paying money back? How many people are serving time, prime time news, right, and social media because they didn't actually qualify? Same thing with the employee retention tax credit. How many people trusted, and I put trusted because it really is teamed up to scheme, but how many people went ahead and claimed that credit even though it was very obvious they did not qualify for it because they didn't have any employees? But there was a trusted tax professional that said, hey, I can get you this credit. Come on, like people are getting this thousands of dollars. Let's make the system work for us. So then you went ahead and applied for that credit, even though you knew you didn't qualify, right? So I'm not saying you have to be the expert, you have to know all of the credits and deductions that you qualify for, but in the same breath, I'm saying you got to do your due diligence. You know, you have no business applying for an employee retention tax credit if you didn't have employees. All right. Let me come back down. But yes, if somebody's advertising tax planning, there is background information that you can go check to make sure, like, how long they've been in this industry, who's their support and community, and I'm going to end up going down with them. All right. So, Deja, thank you for joining and commenting. And let me see over here. Am I about to be mad at my LinkedIn people? All right, not for the moment. So, Deja says, hey, that's a word. I need to get better with this. So, Deja, are you referring to letting the taxpayer know that, hey, the tax preparation and the tax planning are two separate engagements? Or do you mean just not creating this customized plan without them saying anything? You're just working for free? Because either way, I'm here to support you with that because I only can share and teach different things with you all that I had to go through. Right? So I'm guilty of doing that. Like I said, creating tax plans, not charging for it, and then being happy with the results that the client got, but then being frustrated because I feel like I'm being taken advantage of because, hey, they know I saved them all this money, I did all this work for them, but they're not even offering to compensate me when really going down here, Dave's next comment, education is very important. They may not know the difference between tax planning and tax preparation and realize that you gave them additional services for no additional fee. So let me see. Miss Dorothy said, I know EAs that only provide tax planning services, not tax preparation or tax representation. Yes. And I know some of these EAs as well and other tax professionals. So let me move on. So we know the tax preparation is the compliance piece. It is the part where we're going after the fact. Tax planning, we're going into the future, right? So for me personally, and I think a lot of you know this, I only do tax representation. And when I say only, I have a handful of clients, right? Under 100 now, uh, tax preparation clients. I whittled down another third of them. So I'm well under 100 right now. But here's the thing, for the people I have tax preparation, they're not looking for anything advanced planning. All right. Because I love tax law, I love to read. But again, the implementation of the tax planning strategies, I'm not your person. Tax representation, you owe over 100K. I'm here with you all day. All right. I love to talk about it, eat, breathe, sleep, read it, all of it. So, to Ms. Dorothy's point, there are people that only do tax planning and don't do representation or preparation. There are people that only do representation, which I'm moving to, and don't do preparation and planning. If you know you love one or the other, that is exactly what I would recommend. And I'll just share from my own personal experience. The workflow of tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation are completely different. And unless you hire people to fill in the gaps, you can't be everything to everybody. So for me, because I had tax preparation people who came in as quote unquote friends, and I put quote unquote friends because, yeah, there are just some people that don't respect boundaries. Like, for example, if you are texting me all times a day, asking about your return, or not following my systems and processes, and then want to throw up we're friends, we're not friends. You're using me. All right. But I didn't make people stick to those systems and processes. And because the workflows are different, preparation or representation was always being compromised when I was building both businesses. All right. And I've hired in the past for preparation. It didn't always work for me. So, what I found is so that I could stay on top of things for representation, I had to focus and be laser focused on representation. So, I was staying on top of the newest laws. So, I was staying on top of the latest thing with the IRS. And even sometimes that's difficult to manage, but it was almost impossible when I was trying to keep track of where we're at with tax preparation tax planning and tax representation, especially during busy season, especially with the people. If you have them, I'll just say me, not y'all, because y'all aren't going to make my mistakes, right? People that are paying half the rate that are the most needy, right? Or people that feel that you should talk to them every day during tax preparation time when you're working with, well, 150, 200 people and they throw up the friend or I know you're busy and like it's not cool. So again, for me, to help mitigate that, I focus on representation. And again, out here calling myself America's favorite EA, and not just me, because you all have embraced it now too. When I go speak and I write, like I see it other places, I'm like, this is surreal. If I'm America's favorite EA doing representation, my behind better know what I'm doing with representation, right? So for me, being laser focused on that is what I would recommend and suggest. So, Miss Dorothy, with you bringing that up, that EAs only provide tax planning services, not preparation or tax representation, is that something that you agree with? Is that a model that you think you'll follow? Or are you one of those rare people? Like I said, some people are efficient in being able to do all three. I'm personally just not one of them, right? So Deja says, working for free, lol, but I did bill my client like I told you I would. Good job, Deja. Good job. Congratulations. I do remember us having that conversation. Um, so because I focus in representation, sometimes I forget. I've had professionals reach out to me and say, what all is included in representation? What does that mean? So I'm going to go over it very briefly, unless you guys have questions. If you have questions, please put them down in the comments. And if you're watching right now, you've stayed logged in with me, please like the video, heart the video, care the video. I don't even need you all to give me stars. I just need you to give me comments and make sure we're either liking the video. There's no dislike. I wouldn't want you to dislike. Just to make sure that the algorithm is sharing it with other tax professionals so they can get some of this information as well. Okay. So LinkedIn is dropped off at the moment. So with tax preparation, we talked about the compliance work, planning is looking into the future. Representation is going to play off all of those. And here is something that I found. When a taxpayer has an issue, they automatically think whoever prepared the taxes should take care of the issue. Now, there will be situations where, because we're human, we will make a mistake, and then we should take care of that free. Let it be a lesson learned so you don't make the same mistake. However, every time an IRS notice comes out connected to a tax return, does not mean it was the tax professional's fault. And you have to keep that in your mind too. Look at the notice, see if it's something where you genuinely made a mistake. If you did take care of it, if it's not due to a mistake of yours, you calm down, breathe, and then offer to help the client. But you need to make a clear distinction that this is not included in the scope of our engagement with tax preparation. Now, some of you do include audit protection within your scope. So, you would follow the guidelines of whatever that is. However, with representation, like I always say, it is you substituting yourself for the taxpayer to take care of their situation. So, an example of them receiving a notice, if you are exercising your powers with representation, you're going to take the notice and you're going to respond to it, whether that be by phone call or if additional information is requested, you're taking the notice and sending in that additional information. For me, when I work with people that are being levied or audited, they were not my tax preparation client. So for me, what representation involves is them retaining me. So we're getting a 2848, which is the tax power of attorney. We're getting that filled out, signed by both of us. I'm sending it to the CAF unit, right? And what that allows me to do is communicate with the IRS on their behalf. They don't have to be on the phone call. They don't have to make the phone call. It allows me to receive the notices that the IRS sends out to them. Now, they should still check their mail and read their notices to make sure that we're getting the same thing, but they don't have to worry about those things anymore because I'm taking care of it with them. But just like we have substitutes in a sports game, they're on the same team and they work together, even though I'm doing the representation work and I'm the main communicator with the IRS, that taxpayer needs to realize that we still have to work together. There's information I still need from them within a timely manner so I can do my job and communicate with the IRS well. When you have a tax preparation client and they make mistakes, again, they will automatically assume that you can fix the problem, that you will fix the problem. Here's the thing, as an enrolled agent, you can fix the problem. As a tax professional, you should be the one to fix the problem. But you need to make sure that they understand that it's a separate engagement and not what they've already paid you for. I can't tell you how many notices I responded to for free. At this point, it is what it is. All right. But more than half of those notices weren't my fault. But because it was my client, I prepared the returns like, oh, yeah, I'll take care of that. I don't want you to make the same mistake. So if you need to on your calendar, set up something that says IRS notice guidance. All right. IRS notice response. Set up a consultation to help people that owe the IRS and can't pay it in full. Not getting on the phone and doing it, but I've done installment agreements for free, the 9465, and sent it in with the return. Should I have done that for the client to help protect them? Yes, I should have. Should I have let them know me preparing this additional form is not tax preparation? It actually falls under representation? Yes, I should have. Did I always do it? No. I didn't always do the best job at communicating with them that this is a separate engagement. But do you see how when we have somebody that gets a letter from the IRS and they owe, they automatically assume that representation is part of it. So it's easy to fall into that trap of doing the work. And then they're like, hey, I don't want to end up in the same situation again. What can I do to lower my tax liability next year? So, bam, we have somebody that's gone from tax preparation to tax representation to tax planning. And if you're not careful, you will find yourself doing the preparation, representation, and planning all for the price of preparation. And that's what we want to avoid. Now, again, I'm not saying that you have to specialize in one or the other. You can do all three. Will that make you stand above the crowd when people are shopping for EAs? Maybe. If you can be proficient in all three, absolutely. But again, for somebody like me who can't be proficient in all three successfully, I had to specialize in one thing, and that one thing is what made me stand above other people. So let me check this out. So Miss Dorothy says, right now I'm providing bookkeeping and tax preparation. My goal is to phase out bookkeeping to focus on tax preparation and tax resolution. Very cool, very cool. Let me see, because sometimes I can't see my comments from LinkedIn. All right, so I don't have any comments from LinkedIn. I am done. Honestly, like I tell you all, I do these to give you what I never had. I want you to avoid all of the mistakes that I've made in my journey as an enrolled agent. Will you still make mistakes even if you watch this? Absolutely. But any mistake that I can help you avoid, I'm here to do that. Now, if you would like to work with me in a closer capacity, you'd like weekly guidance from me in the form of a private podcast, a community where you can reach out. We had somebody in the community, they were sharing a notice their client received, and everybody was able to chime in and give help. If you want something like that, and again, with written articles, with steps that you can implement to make sure that you actually get those clients, you're managing them well, I want to invite you to subscribe to the Tax Pros Representation Journey, where you will have me in your ear every week on Mondays, and on Wednesdays I'll also be dropping an article with, it's usually 3 to 5 steps that you can implement to help you build your practice, maintain your practice. When I say build, I mean putting systems and processes in place. I mean, getting the clients, knowing how to market and talk to your ideal client. This week, we talked about managing client expectations, right? And what does that look like? How do you make sure that the client always knows what to expect from you and when to expect it? All right. And on tomorrow, they're going to be getting homework on how to implement that and create good engagement letters. We are going to go into more detail about the Corporate Transparency Act, even within the written subscription. So if that's something, again, that you're interested in, you'd like my support with, go to americasfavoriteea.com and you will see the tax rep journey. You can go there and see the different subscription models. Well, if that being all, Saints, I'm going to hop off here. Make sure that you share this with your fellow tax professionals. Get this information and resource to them so they don't go into tax season doing tax planning and tax representation for tax preparation prices. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you later.